wide shoulders, necklace.
Are you ready?
Welcome to Living Strong, the flip side of adversity, with your host, Dr. Deirdre Jackson. On our program, we explore the flip side of every story. And when you open yourself up to both sides, you'll realize that there are life lessons, powerful tools, and so much more. Now, here is Dr. Deirdre Jackson.
Welcome to Living Strong, the flip side of adversity. I am Dr. Deirdre Jackson, the CEO and creative behind Living Strong Consulting. So tonight's conversation is with a good friend, and it is actually a prime example of something that I strongly believe, that at any given moment in time, we are just one encounter away from a destiny moment. And I often ask people, are you ready? And will you show up? And the reason why this for me is a destiny moment, Zohnette Sligh and I met, from my recollection, she can tell you her version. From my recollection, we met at a WOW, Women of Wellness conference, in which I presented a session. And at the buffet table, she came over, and her brilliance and her brightness, she graciously shared how she enjoyed my session, but there was something about her that made me remember, like her frame, her face, her brightness stuck with me. And from that moment, that fleeting moment of connection, graciousness, sisterhood, women being willing to encounter and embrace one another, so many moments have happened and built from that moment. She was one of the very first groups to do a study with my book, Fearless Conversations with a Limitless God, virtually. She helped me test the waters of doing that experience. Her daughter has been on our show as well. And when it came time in the middle of the pandemic where I felt like I was getting stuck, and I decided to step outside of my comfort zone and do something I had never done before, which is to do a year of growth live webinars nationally, open to all of my clients, whether it was the marketplace or ministry. Anyone could log in. And I asked if she would partner with me, and her business, Perfect in My Hands Crochet, every session, if she would create a top or a outfit for me to wear to engage and connect with the participants. And she said yes. And from there, that moment is actually the platform that opened the door for me to feel confident enough to do this on Voice America. And so anyone out there who is feeling like I just don't know enough people, or my opportunity, I don't know how it's going to happen, I'm telling you, we are all just one encounter away from a destiny moment. And will you be open to it? Will you say yes to it? And are you ready? So I'm ready to introduce to you my friend, my collaboration partner, and my girlfriend gathering sister, Zohnette Sligh. So let me tell you a little bit about her. She is a loving wife of Thomas Sligh Jr., of 23 years, and a devoted mother of Jaslyn, who's 20, and Zane, and Thomas, who are twins, correct?
Yeah.
Who are both 17. She's been an elementary school teacher for 24 years, and she's taught grades K to 5 in various school districts and 2 different states. And I absolutely love following her on social media with all of the antics that happen in her classroom. Her ministry passion is speaking and spending time with women and married couples. She loves to help them see their purpose in God. Her revived passion is crocheting. She is an avid fiber artist who enjoys creating perfect designs one stitch at a time. In 2001, Zohnette and her husband founded Treasures of the Heart Ministries, which is made up of individuals of all ages who proclaim God's name through song, dance, and poetic expression. And in 2018, they expanded to Treasures of the Heart Worship Center, which is located in downtown Frederick, Maryland, where they are real people serving a real God. Their ministry has released 3 CD recordings and various publications over the years. It is also through this ministry that Zohnette started a women's group called Queens for Christ. In 2008, Zohnette joined seminary school with the Freedom Bible College, where she received her Master's of Ministry degree in 2010. And over the years, she has been a sought-after speaker for multiple women and marriage conferences across the region. Zohnette understands that eyes have not seen, neither ears heard, or entered into the hearts of men what God has in store. She continues to trust God in all things, seeks Him first, and allows Him to direct her path in this wonderful journey with Him. Her goal is to continue to provide the kingdom of God so that people's lives would be fully transformed into His plan. To be the glory. To God be the glory. Favorite scripture? Philippians 1:6. He who begun a good work shall complete it until the day of Jesus Christ. I am excited for us to unpack how Zohnette has been able to step out of the shadows and to not only revive a gift and a love, but is impacting women around the globe and just simply being a servant and light to the world around her. Welcome to the show, Zohnette.
Thank you. I am so excited. I am elated that I am here. Anytime I get with you, I get excited. So I'm just happy to be here. And I just want to tell you publicly, thank you for everything that you have done in my life. Because if it wasn't honestly for you, and I know that you're not, a person that's has a big head or anything, but it was because of you that I was able to step out and not be fearful, to continue to do. So I just thank you for, everything that you've done, and you are an amazing woman and my mentor.
Oh, you know what? I am humbled and so graciously honored that God would create divine moments, divine moments,
Yes.
and we both said yes in the moment. And since then, sometimes I know you've said, "Why did I say yes to her?"
Yes.
I know that you have. I know that you have. But if we jump into your story, I had the pleasure of reading your bio, your background, and more details about your story. And as I read it this morning, I posted actually Albert Einstein's quote that the woman who follows the crowd will usually go no further than the crowd. The woman who walks alone is likely to find herself in places no one has ever been before. And in the title for the show, I love the expression that you used, who I choose to be, meaning that choice denotes that there are alternatives. There's alternative paths that we each can take. And the path that you have taken, that you've been comfortable in, has often been in the crowd. And that has been your comfort zone, but you actually found yourself when you had to go the solo road.
Yes.
Can you tell us a little bit about that solo road journey and the struggle that was tied to that?
Oh my goodness. When I saw that quote this morning, it hit me like I was like, this is exactly what was going on. That I was so used to being um supporting people from the back, and I was comfortable there. Like I wanted to be there. And I said, as long as I'm right here, I'm okay. But that's as far as I could go. And in my heart, I knew that I could do what they were doing, and so but it was just a struggle to just stay right there because it was comfortable. And if I got any further, it would be a little uncomfortable. And so that whole struggle has been a struggle basically all my life until this one moment, where I have this business and now I have to step into the light and I have to step up front and do things that I'm not used to doing. So it was this is a whole entirely new territory. But I must say that I am loving the new Zohnette.
Isn't that how it often is? I think about clients that I have coached and supported them to come out from the shadows. And oftentimes we can use the shadows, we'll call it, oh, we're being supportive, when actually we're hiding.
That's all I was doing.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And many times when I've coached people, they will come to me and ask me questions that they actually already know the answer to. And instead of just saying yes, they'll continue to ask people the same question over and over again as though it will validate the hiding place that they have opted, as you said, they have chosen
Yep.
to sit in, even though they know there is more for them to do.
Mm-hmm.
What were some of the stories you were telling yourself when you were in that hiding place? And what was the story you told yourself that broke you free?
Well, when I was in the hiding place, I would, just like you said, I would ask all the questions that I already knew the answer to. And I would tell myself, well, I'm still supporting. I'm still here. I'm helping. I'm just going to help out. You just go ahead and do your stuff. I'll be here. Whatever you need, I'm going to be available, But then when I got home, I would be like, girl, I can't believe that you sat there and you did all of that knowing that you in your heart you wanted to do more. Why didn't you just do more? And so I would have full-blown conversations with myself. I was talk, I would answer my own self. And so, but at the end of the day, the old girl would always win. I would just be like, well, I'm just going to keep, supporting until one day I had an opportunity where I couldn't pull from the old girl. Nobody knew but me. And so I had to step up. And in all of that, it has taught me that you really can do it. It's really not as deep as you're making it to be. And I was a prisoner of my own self. It was no one else that was doing it. A lot of times people say, because of this and that and that, it was my own self, that I was causing my own self to think these things. And I had to just make a choice that today is the last day that this is going to happen. You are not going to, now tomorrow it's going to come back again. And you're going to tell yourself that you're going to go back in hiding. But today you got to stand firm and say
Mm-hmm.
that not today. Today, like I tell the devil sometimes, devil, not today. And that's what I had to tell Zohnette, not today. You know what you said that you were going to do. You have everything that you need. You don't need to ask any more questions. Someone was on your broadcast a couple weeks ago, and they said that, and that hit me like a ton of bricks. She said, "Stop asking all those questions because you already know the answer. There's no more questions to ask." So that was the turning point for me, that I just had to make up in my mind, and the fact that no one else knew but me.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And something that just resonated with me as you were explaining the conversation you would have with yourself. You actually said, now tomorrow, I know you're going to show up again to tell me what I can't do, but you already pre-planned ahead of time what you were going to say when that feeling or that emotion or that doubt showed back up. Instead of being surprised that it was there, you already had your response prepared so that when it showed up, and it's so oftentimes people will get discouraged because it showed back up again, and then they'll shame themselves or shrink back because the thought is, well, I thought I dealt with that yesterday. We're human beings. And when we have believed a lie about ourselves for decades, sometimes, depending on when the lie started, when we've believed something for decades, it's going to take time to rewire that reality. So we have to get a practice that will intentionally continue to unwire the lie and not dismiss it, but actually pull it in. I knew you were going to come. I know you're here. Go ahead and sit down because I still need to do this work.
It was intentional. I had to be intentional, and I had to keep saying it. Girl, you have to be intentional. This is what's going to happen tomorrow. Be intentional and say no.
You know, I want to be able to prep us for the next question, but we're getting ready to take a break, and you have become such an incredible part of my story, from Fearless Conversations to joining me at Sandy Cove to help work my tables, to coming to just about every growth session that I provided in 2021, being that shining light, all from a buffet encounter. That moment, you have just become such an incredible force of sisterhood and friendship. And now you are also a part of the newest venture that Living Strong is providing. And I'm going to share what it is with our audience. And when we come back, can we start there and just tell me what you are hoping to gain from the girlfriend gathering? Would you do that when we come back from break?
Sure, absolutely.
Awesome. So let me help you understand what Zohnette's going to tell you is impacting her life. John Maxwell tells us that change is inevitable, but growth is optional. So I'm welcoming you into a series that we are calling the Girlfriend Gathering Series. We are going to provide 5 more of them, 6 in all. 1 is already passed. You have a chance to be a part of the next one at the end of this month, but we're inviting you to join a group of like-minded women who are focused on intentional strategy, accountability, and the opportunity for change. Our next girlfriend gathering is March 26th. It is both virtual and in person, and it is an opportunity for you to this time not only look at your habits, but begin to shape your choices around time management, making time for sustainable change, as well as financial habits that will change your relationship with your credit and even more. So March 26th is right around the corner, and we only provide a limited number of virtual and in-person spots. Because you are a Voice America listener, there's a special promo code for you to use to register and get a discount. It is GFG 2022. And registration is on livingstrongllc.com, our website. Grab your spot today before the deadline, or all of the spots are taken. We'll be right back.
All right, all clear.
Awesome. Thank you. Wow, it's going by so
I
fast. I've
know,
only
like,
asked two
right.
questions. How in the world? I have to I've got to pick up the pace here.
I said, how we get a break?
We are already at a break. And Donna, hey Donna, she said yes, awesome series. Thank you, Donna. We appreciate you.
Yes,
Appreciate the sisterhood.
yes,
Esther, thank you.
yes.
Evelyn, Pastor Sligh's here. Lisa,
Yes.
Brenda, wonderful Sharon, hello. Judy, awesome, 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 awesome.
Hello,
Tina,
hello.
Stephanie, Betty, yes, come on in here now. This is your task. Everybody's on here who is on here. I want you to hit that like and love button, as well as share this with someone who needs to come out of the shadows, who has been afraid, who has been doubting themselves. This is the opportunity for their accountability to say no more. So,
Sorry to cut off.
hearts,
We're coming back in 10 seconds.
10 seconds. I tell you, there's something about you, Zohnette. Time is going by so fast.
This is Living Strong, the flip side of adversity with Dr. Virdra Jackson. To reach the live show today, call into 1-888-346-9141. That's 1-888-346-9141. You may also send an email to info@livingstrongllc.com. Now, back to Living Strong, the flip side of adversity.
Welcome back. I've been having a conversation with my good sister friend and sharing with you how a chance interaction at the buffet line of the Wild Women's Conference has led to such an amazing relationship, partnership, collaboration. And I shared a little bit about the Girlfriend Gathering, which is our 2022 mission and opportunity that we are partnering with Misfit Heroes in Norristown. And Zohnette, you are a part of that group as well. And I feel like there's an opportunity for us to make a connection back to something you just said. When you made the decision that you were no longer going to be in the shadows and dismiss the lie that, oh, I'm just helping. When knowing that that's not the role you were supposed to take.
Mhm.
What are you getting out of the Girlfriend Gathering? And actually, why did you decide to even join?
Well, I decided to join because every time that I put myself in a situation where I'm doing something on my own, I feel like I'm having a success because some things that are simple for other people, that is a challenge for me because my entire life I have been relying on other people that have been very close to me. And so when I saw the Girlfriend Gatherings, once I realized that I am relying on these people to help me, then I said, well, God, I need you to help me make sure that I am doing what I'm supposed to do according to what you called me to do. And so when I saw the Girlfriend Gathering, at first I was hesitant again. I was just like, okay, well, who's going to go with me? How am I going to do? And I said, you're doing it again. I said, it doesn't matter who's going to go with you. I bought my ticket. I talked to my husband and he said, go. I had no idea who was going to go. And so when I went, I knew without a shadow of a doubt that I needed to be connected with like-minded people who could help encourage me and to continue to push me forward in where I needed to go. And so that Girlfriend Gathering, that was the perfect opportunity for me to be amongst women that I knew that I wouldn't necessarily know, but I know I needed them in order to move forward, and like you said, to work on my time management, to work on my systems, making sure all of those things were in place. And so that was the best money that was spent in my life.
Awesome. I so appreciate you. And that really is the vision of Girlfriend Gatherings, is that it is a room, whether it's virtual
Mhm.
or it is in person. And we really try to make it a very intentional environment, regardless of which space you are in. You will be fed but it is getting in a circle of accountability and being willing to have iron sharpens iron and recognizing that we both have sharpness to us. We both have power and strength. And when we come together, it is something about coming together that will create the spark, that will create the even more sharpened edges, that will allow us to remain accountable to not only say what we want, but actually do what we've been called to do. And sometimes that requires us to be in the space where others are, whoa, she got her website out. Whoa, she got
Yes.
that book published. Whoa, she got zoning done. Wait, what? Let me check my to-do list. When you have to stand on your tiptoes in a room with other people, it challenges you to say, oh, wait a minute, I can't be the slacker.
Yes, yes, yes. I love it. I'm always that saying that everyone says, make sure you're in the room with people that are smarter than you. Like
Yes.
I got that concept and I took it and ran. I said, I'm gonna find every person that I think is smarter than me, and I'm gonna look at what they're doing, and I'm gonna try my hardest to duplicate it. Now, not duplicate it to make it look like what they did, but make it for me.
Yes.
That's what I'm learning, how to be inspired and then take that inspiration and turn it into what God had designed for me. And that's what's
Yes.
encouraging to me now in my life.
So I want to jump into that because something I found interesting that I actually didn't know was that you started crocheting at 18 and then you stopped for almost 20 years.
Yes.
So you started something that you fell in love with and you stopped for 20 years and then you picked it up back up. But since you've picked it back up, you have created designs that have blessed and dressed women from around the world. I'm sporting my perfect in my hands crocheted sweater. I have
Yes.
several. And for those who are in our Facebook community, you can see the amazing designs behind her. I want to know, someone with such amazing gifting, why did you stop and what made you pick it back up again?
Well, when I was 18, I started it because my mother is a crafter. She does everything. She used to bake cakes. She used to make floral arrangements. My mom was always crafting, doing something. Now, I'm not quite sure why the yarn kind of got me intrigued. I think it's more so just taking a piece of string and then turning it into something. When I was 18, I didn't have I wasn't like excited about it, but I self-taught myself. I went and, we had YouTube, we had the internet, none of that stuff was around. And so I had to go to the store, buy me a book. I learned how to read a pattern, taught myself, and I made my father this little short scarf, and he wore it with pride. and and so I was just happy that I did that. I think I was just trying to craft because my mom was crafting. And so it kind of died down. And then one day I saw a teacher friend. Now I'm starting to teach school. I see a teacher friend and she used to crochet at lunch every single lunch period. And I would sit there and watch her and I'd be like, I used to know how to do that. And that just developed a love and a passion in me. And it became a hobby. Like after that, it's
Mhm.
like it took a whole nother form. I just began to love it. I filled my house with yarn. Like if you ask my husband, that's what he's gonna say. And I just began to really, really love to do it. And so it's been amazing. Like everything you see now, that just blows my mind because I never once, even when I picked it back up, I didn't think it was going to turn into this. I just love doing it.
So where did the business part come in? You're
Oh my
clearly
goodness.
gifted. My experience has been, I have come up with this idea and I said, I wonder if Zohnette can turn that into a top or a dress. I'm just going to send her the picture. And when I tell you, it will come in the mail, fit perfectly. We are in two different states.
Yes.
We didn't share that. So she lives in Maryland. I live
Yes.
in Pennsylvania
Yes.
in the US. And we are never next to each other. I sent her a picture. It arrives in the mail within the time frame. She's always early with delivery. It fits perfectly, and the designs are exquisite. And so, where did the business come from? Because I understand the talent.
Hmm. Well, the business, I was kind of, you know how they say you were voluntold? Well, my business was formed through, I was voluntold to start this business. I had no desire to start a business, and it was prophetic. Um, our good mother, Dale Sharp Lee,
Uh-huh.
back at the Wild Conference, she was one of my first customers. And she mentioned me and she said, I want you to make some necks, some cows. And so I said, okay, that's fine. I just love to crochet. I'll make it. And I
Yes.
made, she was my largest order. And so after I made that, she said, oh, God is going to bless you. This is going to be a business. And I said, oh, bless her heart. I was like, she don't even know that I am not concerned about a business at all. And it just, everything that just kind of fell in my lap. Like God, honestly, he ordained everything to be the way that it was going to be. After her, people just kept, trying to contact me and say, can you make this? Can you make this? How much is this? They kept asking me questions I couldn't answer. And so I said, well, I guess I gotta start a business because they're telling me I gotta start a business. I don't know how, Lord, but I guess we're gonna start this journey. And honestly, that is really how Perfect in My Hands came about. It wasn't a business plan. I didn't have anything written down because I don't know anything about business. I'm an elementary school teacher, so I don't have any business degree. And so when we started the name, I had no idea how the name was going to come about, and I'm not crafty in that area. And so one day I was delivering some crocheted cotton dishcloths to my mom, which she absolutely loves. And so I gave her these dishcloths and she said, oh my goodness, these are perfect in my hands. And I said, that is the name right there. And so it is two integral people. Dale Sharp Lee prophetically spoke this business, and my mother already prophetically spoke the name. And that's how Perfect in My Hands started.
Wow. Again, divine moments.
Yes.
I just love, and it's so important to lean in the moment because how often will someone shrink back because people are asking questions
Mm-hmm.
that we don't necessarily have the answer to, or we don't have all of our ducks in the row, so clearly I'm not ready for this, so I need to shrink back,
Mm-hmm.
instead of recognizing why shouldn't I just step forward
Yes.
and find the answers
Mm-hmm.
and have those feet that it's almost like the duck in the pond. My feet are moving quickly
Yes.
underneath
Mm-hmm.
and on top. Yep, I can deliver that. I can figure it out. I can
Yep.
move forward. In your own words, you are on a mission to make others feel valued, beautiful, and loved.
Mm-hmm.
How has your mission pushed you past your fears?
Well, just making sure that everything that I create is, like you said, something that's going to make people feel special. I do want it to be different. I want it to feel different. I want them to, understand that this isn't just a piece of, fabric. This is something that is, I want to bless you. I want you to wonder who made this. And it'll give me an opportunity to, give them and to share a little bit about Christ. And just the challenges that come with that is just making sure that, again, that I really understand that this is something that God has designed, this is something that God has given me, and I want to ensure that whatever I do it because he has designed it. I don't want to look different. I mean, I do want to look different from other people, but ultimately I want to make sure that everything that I'm doing, it is done unto Christ, because he
Mm,
is truly the one that started, all of this, so
yes, his timing, his
yes,
timing.
yes, yes.
So, can you tell us a little bit about what is crocheting? How is it different from knitting? Because I know some people will interchange the two
Yes,
together and they are different.
yes.
And so, can you kind of explain the process to us? And what have you learned about yourself
Mhm.
that crocheting has taught you?
Well, definitely. Well, crocheting is, first of all, crocheting is knitting. Look at me, I'm going to mess it up. Crocheting is making stitches with one crochet hook. Like, it's almost like a little stick that has a little hook on it. And the only difference is between knitting, it uses two needles, where crochet is using one needle. And people always go revert to knitting, and they always say, oh, my husband always says, are you knitting again? I'm like, no, I don't knit, I crochet. So that's really the only difference. Both of them will create beautiful pieces. They both use different kinds of fibers and various stitches. The possibilities are endless with crocheting. And that's what people, really need to understand. Now, what I've learned about myself through crocheting is, as I said before, we talked a little bit about, why I went to the girlfriend gatherers and why I almost kind of, I stalk you all the time, because because I understand that when I go in places that may seem uncomfortable for me, then it is creating an opportunity for me to exercise and practice what I self talk to myself at home. And so crocheting has allowed me to be able to, one, be at peace because it's very therapeutic. And so it's just allowed me to really think things through, to look at the crochet world, because the crochet world is so many things that are involved in it. And so the things that I see, I'm looking at and I'm like, I could be a part of this. And so just being able to understand the crocheting and the whole act of crocheting, I have allowed myself or afforded myself opportunities to be in places that I would have never been in, and to be able to look at those places and say, just like they have done it, you are able to do it as well. And that would have never happened in any other area of my life, because, as I said before, I've been reliant on people all of my life, from childhood all the way up to adulthood. My dad did everything for me in my college career. I followed my best friend Gracie. I wouldn't go to college up to the main campus until she went up to the main campus. And then when I got married, I got a husband who did everything for me. So now I have crochet, and crochet is a part where the people in my circle, no one knew anything. Nobody knew how to crochet but me. And so when I developed the business, I had to reach out to people that I would have never been able to reach out to. And I cannot tell you how many women that I have been able to speak to and been afforded to have these opportunities that I would have never been able to do. And so some people look at it as, oh, you're just crocheting. I'm like, it's so much more than that. Like, I'm not just crocheting. I'm meeting people that I would have never done. I'm doing things that I would have never done before had I not picked up that crochet hook.
Yes. How sometimes we can call something a just when it's so much more complex than that.
Yes.
And I like to just touch on a point that you actually brought up, that many people crochet for different reasons, and some people can use it therapeutically. I know in the work that we do with trauma impacted individuals, as well as those who are processing or moving through anxiety and stress, and it can become the movement of the needle, the feel of the fibers, the texture, the ability to be able to focus your mind, the process of moving your hands, all of that can have a very therapeutic component to it. So some therapeutic practices have also been tied to overcoming addictions and things like that. So what why exactly do you crochet, beyond the fact that it is your assignment, but what pushes you? What prompts you?
Well, I crochet because, as I said, I'm an elementary school teacher, and you know the complexities of elementary children. So I crochet so I don't hurt people. Um, that's a little
Yes.
that's a slogan that's in the crochet world. Like, I crochet so I don't hurt people. And but I honestly, it is peace for me. Like, you know how people say, oh, this is my self-care. Like, I literally cannot live without crocheting. Like, I have to crochet on a daily basis. I'll come in a house and I'll tell everybody, I say, y'all, I've really had a very rough day. If y'all just give me 10 minutes just so I can crochet a couple rows, I will be all yours, but,
Mm.
and now those little couple rows turn into like 50 rows, but they respect me enough to know that that is a part of my life. And so it really brings me peace. It calms me down from a high maintenance job. It calms me down. And I have teenagers, so it's always something going on in this house, and sometimes I'll say, y'all, I just need to crochet for a little bit and then I can be available, so it is a calming mechanism for me.
And you also have created an understanding with your family, because I think about women who have often shared that, well, I can't do that because they expect me to do this. I can't really pause a moment because my family needs me to do this. But you're very upfront that this is something I need. If you want me to show up as my strongest,
Yeah.
healthiest, most productive self,
Mm-hmm.
I need you to give me this time
Yep.
so that I can be who you are calling me to be.
Yes.
And I don't often hear women put it in that context that they have openly created this message with their family.
Yes.
I need to do this in order for me to be who you are
Yes.
asking me to be.
Yep. Because I tell them, I say, I want to be the greatest mom that I could be. I want to be the greatest wife that I can be. But I do not want to bring the hustle and the bustle of the daily job in this home and then take it out on you. So the
Mhm.
only way that I can do that, if you just let me be, even if I go, sometimes I'll say, I just need to go to the yarn store. I just want to touch the yarn. And then by the time I come home, I'm okay. And
Yes.
sometimes Tom will say, you look like you had a rough day, go buy you some yarn. And I say, oh, good. and so and so they really respect it enough. And we had to set those boundaries because I want them to understand that, everybody has to have something to help them cope with life. And so that is, some people like to read, some people like to just meditate. Mine, I like to crochet. That is exactly what I do. And I love each and every one of my family members for allowing me to have my crochet moments.
Yes. So I want to get into kind of the habits and skills part of our conversation, and then we'll walk into who you discovered yourself to be as you continued to build this business. When we talk about the process of being a creative, I know in Living Strong, I'm constantly building and creating content, and sometimes I can tell myself, oh, I'll get to that tomorrow. Or I have a great idea, but I'm like, I'll get to that later. Procrastination is a really big topic, especially for people who are entrepreneurs as well as those who are creatives. When you're called to actually create something or produce what you would call perfection, perfect in your hands, when you are creating and building things, how do you keep yourself out of the trap of procrastination?
Well, whenever this part of like creating the actual design, that's not any procrastination. Like I could do that like easily. Now there are some things like there's some things that I absolutely do not like to do. I do not like to crochet blankets at all. I will crochet them gladly for the person, but it's the same stitch and it's over and over and over again. And so I like complex things. And so I'll ask them, well, do you want another color? No, I want all red. I'm like, okay. So, and so what I have to do, some of the things with crochet that I try and do like some me projects. And so I try and put other projects in between. And then that way it doesn't seem so long and try and do a little bit at a time and then do a little of my me projects that are a little bit more complex. So I feel like I'm accomplishing something. Now the business side of it, that's my little enemy. That's the part that there'd be the little devil on my little shoulder, and she'd be like, "No, don't do that, don't do that," because that's taking me away from what I love to do. And so that there, I have to, again, I do a lot of self-talk with myself, that I have to make sure. And then I have my husband, he is an integral part with the business side. I have a lot of accountability partners. I have you, I have my good friend Latoya, and I got some real strong accountability partners. Like y'all like hit it hard, and so
Yes, we do.
yes. And I think the fact that I know that you care for me and it's in my best interest, I think that alone gives me a little bit more push to say, you know what, I can't let them down. I can't let them down, And so those are some of the strategies that I try, and I try and turn and talk to someone. I try and do other little projects here and there. But very rarely do I procrastinate with the crochet.
It's the business part.
That's
And
the
and
business
I
part.
and I think though it's the opportunity for us to be honest about the fact that we as entrepreneurs have a responsibility to not only continue to develop in our craft,
Hmm.
but to also develop as the CEO of
Yes.
our company, which are two different skill sets. Just
Yep.
because you are great at creating presentations or you are great at designing things does not mean that you are also great at being the CEO of your business and running your business as though you are the CEO
Yes.
of a business. And so creating the space to grow and evolve over time, I think is important when we're building and coming out of the shadows. Because again, it is great if you're a part of a group and someone else is responsible for being in charge. That's wonderful. But as an entrepreneur, you are the driver
Yes.
of your ship. God has given you the calling, but
Mhm.
now you have to be a good steward
Yes.
of what he has given you. So you have the creative side, but you also must cultivate the CEO side. And for me, that speaks growth and evolution. So, how do you create room for your gradual development in being a CEO of Perfect in My Hands Crochet?
Well, again, I try and make sure that I put myself in places where people who are smarter than me, who already know the business, and even because at one point in my life, I felt, well, in this journey, I felt, I'm like, but Lord, I don't know any crochet entrepreneurs, so how am I going to do this? And He just simply said, it doesn't have to be a crochet entrepreneur. I need you to find someone who's faithful in their entrepreneur business, and I need you to follow them, because you don't have to they don't have to know how to crochet to do the business side of it, and so that's what I'm learning even now. So as I sit in the girlfriend gatherings, when I sit in the and just listen to people and things that they have developed in their own businesses, I'm like, I can connect that to the business side of what I'm doing. So I'm like, Lord, just keep making opportunities for me, to be able to do those things. And I sit back and I watch, and that's why I get so excited when I see other businesses and my sister's friends and all of their businesses that are up there. And one of the things on my website, I have a page called Entrepreneurs. And I made that page because that's my heart, because I just understand that as we support one another, we're all going to win. And so understanding that concept, I'm like, Lord, just continue to put me in an avenue with people who can help me, because Lord, that this side, I'm totally oblivious. I don't understand all of that. And so just making opportunities for that, and just as you said in the gatherings, um, to create those systems, and sometimes it's not just our habits, but are your systems in place? And that is what I'm working on, to make sure that my systems are in place, and that, I can have a good business, because I want people to come back. I didn't say that, he who begun a good work shall perform until the day of Jesus Christ. Well, I want to make sure that my customer service is right. I want to make sure that my business is right, my page is right. And just to piggyback on what you said a little bit about, you can have a group of people in the room, but you still are in charge. And that happened. My husband was helping me with my website, and I was like, well, can't you just go ahead and do it? And he's like, but I don't know where you want to put the pictures. And I'm like, oh, I got to do that too, so, but I got to make sure it looks a certain way, and so all of those things, just making sure that that's my daily prayer. God, just keep putting me in places with people that can help my business flourish, and let me be a good student and be able to absorb, what they have, and take
Mhm.
it and do it, so that's
Mhm. You're reminding me of one of our sessions from 2021 in the growth webinars where we talked about mentors and recognizing there are the distant mentors that you can follow and then the next step mentors. And when I have coached individuals and we're in a space where we don't know something, it's an opportunity for us. There's a group for everything.
yeah,
And it's our willingness to step out and say, I don't know anyone in this group, but I'm going to step out of my comfort zone and step into this group and trust and believe that I'll meet someone.
yeah,
And that next engage, we are one engagement away from
mhm,
a destiny moment.
yeah,
Will you be open and will you be ready?
yeah,
And I think about how you have opened my eyes to the whole crochet world. Like there's actually a
so
crochet
much.
world. I had no idea. And once you started posting things, I was like,
Mhm.
"Oh my goodness, there is a crochet world.
It's,
Who knew this?"
it's huge.
It's huge. There's a group or a world for everything.
Mhm.
But we have to be willing to step into it and be uncomfortable and be the only.
Yes.
Be the only.
Mhm.
Step in there, be the only person who doesn't know everybody, be the
Mhm.
only person of color, be the
Mhm.
only person, the only female,
Yeah.
be the only in
Yeah.
that moment, and you won't remain the only
Mhm.
because you will create space for others to feel like they could do it too.
Yes, yes. And speaking of that, it is not a lot of black women who crochet, and so you can easily stand out, and so and but what it looks like in the crochet world, even some of those things, I'm like, Lord, but I don't know exactly everything you're saying, but I know it's not that.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
I need you to make sure that I am stepping and moving, not just because that's what they do, but it's because of that's what you said to do.
Yes. Jeanette, I cannot tell you how amazing this conversation has been. I've only asked about half of my questions, and we are 3 minutes away
We
from
got to
being
come back.
done. Already, we have to have a part two,
Yes,
because
yes.
I've only asked about half of my questions. But I want to make sure before we get off that people have an opportunity to look at your website, to follow you, and if you have not followed me, you can see all of the designs that she has created for me in 2021 that have been amazing showstopper
Yes,
pieces. She is creative, she is gifted, and she has integrity to her work.
yes,
So, Jeanette, we've got about 2 minutes before we
yes.
have to log off. Where can they find you? And give us your website.
Well, you can find me on Instagram at Perfect in My Hands. Everything is easy. Perfect in My Hands Crochet. You can join our Facebook group, Perfect in My Hands Crochet. You can also, just type my own name. You can reach me there. But today is the beginning and the launch of our website, and you can reach us at www.perfectinmyhands with an S.com, and you will see all of, well, as many designs as I could put up there, and it will always be updated. All the information on how to contact, how to order, all those things are right there.
Yes. So I have thoroughly
Yes.
enjoyed this conversation, and I just want to close out with the last minute that we have. And there's something in your bio that you shared about adventure, and that you, in finding who you were
Mhm.
and who God has called you to be. Jim Rohn says, don't ask for security, ask for adventure.
Mhm.
What adventure is in front of Jeanette? 1 minute left.
Oh my goodness. I am just so excited about what God has. And it's like I said, the possibilities are endless. I can't pinpoint and tell you exactly, but I know that whatever God has for me as far as crochet and the yarn, I am taking it. I'm going to grab it and I'm going to take it and run with it. But I'm definitely looking into becoming a teacher and a mentor in those ways. So I'm just excited about what's going to happen.
Wow. Very different conversation, and your energy even was different
Yes.
from the beginning when we first started, and you talked about how you enjoyed being in the background
Mhm.
to how you just finished with everything, anything he has, I'm
Anything.
going to
I'm
do it.
doing it.
I'm
I'm
ready.
doing it.
I'm even ready to step into the arena of teaching and mentoring.
Yes.
Your whole life, your energy just shifted. And when we come out of the shadows, when we are willing to step out of the background and into the foreground and embrace, stop worrying about being safe
Hmm.
and actually step into the adventure that is in front of us.
Hmm.
That's an opportunity to live strong. And on the flip side,
Yes.
we so appreciate the fact that you have been with us,
Thank
and
you.
every week, same time, same place, make sure you join us again on the flip side of adversity
Yes.
next week. Thanks so much for being a part of the conversation.
All right, we're all clear.
Thanks, Gabe.
No problem. I gotta run to the next show, so have a great one, Dr. Jackson. I'll see you next week.
Thank you.
Hmm.
Awesome. 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 Yay.
We made it.
Congratulations. Congratulations. So I have to ask at least one of my other questions because we always give the people in the Facebook the
A little more.
background. They get the extra questions because I'm not kidding y'all. I only asked about half my question. Do you see my hand flip? I still had this. I still had that. I still had that
We still have some
to
more.
ask. I still had some things I wanted to ask. So you have to answer at least one of these for the
Okay.
Facebook people because they always get the background, the behind the scenes look to things. So let's see. Okay. So how do you maintain the integrity of your business? And what advice would you share with others who are seeking to step into the marketplace of entrepreneurship?
Well, the one thing I do, what I have learned is, as that's my motto: be you. Just be. And I avoid trying to look like everybody else, because it, even as far as my website is, when you go on other crochet websites, they're going to look a little bit different than what I see. I have a whole bunch of different pages, and I'm like, no, because I know what God told me to do. Like he said, do this, do this, do this. And so I just take everything in stride, and I would tell anyone to make sure that you are being your authentic self. First, know what it is that you have to do. Even if you don't know every single, pinpoint every single little thing, but know your why. We always say that. Know what your why is and stick to that. And so just making sure that, even if I don't understand all the ideas, I know that my purpose, and if it does not connect with my purpose, no matter how good it might look, if it doesn't connect with my purpose, then I am not going to do it at all.
Mm.
So I'm just daring to be different, and my different is different according to Zohnette. It's not different according to the crochet world. It's different according to me.
Yes. Two things struck me. One is I had a conversation with a mentee a
Mm-hmm.
couple of weeks ago because she had gotten so busy with
Mm-hmm.
so many things. Now she has a business, she has a nonprofit, she has a family,
Mm-hmm.
and she was doing all of these other odd jobs, things here. People asked her to do these things, and I said, how is that tied to your purpose? She said, well, I'm just keeping myself busy. And I think it is really important,
Mm-hmm.
especially as entrepreneurs who have a gift, because when we have a gift,
Mm-hmm.
people will exhaust us
Mm-hmm.
because of our gifting. And just because you can do something
Yep.
doesn't mean you should do something.
Yep.
And if it is not specifically designed or connected to where you are going,
Yep.
no should be
No.
your response. How did you get to a place of recognizing that just because it's something I can do, it's not always something I should do?
Because I know when you look into, if you go into the crochet world, you will see a lot of people will say, no, I don't want to start a crochet business because it's just going to turn it from a hobby, a fun, to a nightmare, you know. And I made up in my mind, I'm like, no, there's no way that if you gave me this, you're going to make it so that it's not enjoyable for me. I said, Lord, I still want this to be enjoyable for me. And so whenever I see that in that world, I always respond and I tell them that, look, it's what you make it. You know, it's your business. So if I want to accept 10 orders in a month, then I'll accept. There's a reason why I did that. And so a lot of people in the crochet world and other entrepreneurs, their goal is just to make money. My goal is not to make money. You know, God will bless me financially, you know, but that's not my goal. My goal is to teach, inspire, to make people, you know, feel good. That's my goal. And so how am I going to make that goal if I have too many things going on, you know? And so looking at this piece, you know, behind me, I'm like, that was my goal, that I know without a shadow of a doubt, when I send this picture to the customer, I want to see her face. You know, that's why I tell people all the time, send me a picture, please, because I really need to know. It's not so much about the money. You know, it is all about me making sure that I'm content, because if I'm not content, then nobody else is going to be content, you know? And so just really understanding that, because so many people get lost in, you know, but I got to do this. I got to do this. I got to do that. I'm taking little baby steps and I'm moving at Zohnette's pace.
Yeah.
And that's what has to happen.
Wow. Yeah. 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 People so often will focus so much on making the money that they'll lose sight of the actual impact.
Yeah.
How are you going to make a difference in other people's lives, experiences, the quality of what you're putting out there? That they're so focused on how can I make the money that it gets out of kilter.
Right.
And then you're finding yourself chasing after money, and you've lost the light of why you were doing it in the first place, because you weren't clear. And you didn't make the commitment to stand in why you were doing this in the first place. So now this is the last thing, I promise. I tell you,
That's
I
all
don't
right.
know what in the world. I feel like someone is pushing the clock up on me. Like there's no way. There's no way that this should be fair. I'm like, how in the world? So this is the last one, because I get this often, and I just want your take on this, that people will ask me, so how do I know that I should step out and do this? How do I know that this is God and not me? I might be making a mistake. I might decide to step out and start this business, and it's me. What is your response to that statement or that question?
Well, if he gave it to me, then it is definitely him. If he said it, like I keep hearing it over and over again, then that is like, I don't know what else to tell you. And and when I think about all of those things, like even when, like I said, this business, I wasn't thinking about it at all. I didn't question that. I did question, Lord, I don't want to misrepresent your name. Lord, whatever I do, I don't want to misrepresent your name. I know that you'll take me. I know that you'll take me, you know, as far as you want me to go. I said, but at the end of the day, what is the worst thing that could happen? It just doesn't work. And guess what? You just brush your knees off and try it again, you know? And so that's what I had to tell myself, Zohnette, what's the worst thing? Maybe you might have just 2 customers as opposed to 30 customers. If you get 2 customers, and guess what? Just make them customers your best customers you can. And unfortunately, that it's the opposite. Because every time I get slowed down, like I think, okay, now I can breathe. Somebody else send me a message. Can you make this? I'd be like, oh my gosh. But it's so awesome. And like, honestly, what you said before, I was going to also include the fact that when I'm talking to women, like any of my customers will tell you that they probably like, look, if you ask me one more question, just make the thing and send it to me, because I am really trying to say, well, do you like this? And do you like this? Because orange can come in a lot of different colors, so because I want it to be perfect. I want them to have the same smile on their face that I have on my face when I'm actually crocheting it. And so that is just to talk about the question you asked me before. But in terms of just making sure that it is God's calling, if it is continuously in your ear, I promise you're going to have to do something with it, and just make sure that you do it and you trust him. As I said, don't lean to your own understanding, because you're going to give up. If you lean on your own, you will give up.
And if you're just running after money, you will give up.
Yes.
If there's no call, right? If there's no purpose beyond how much you can make, you're going to give up, because that's exhausting.
Yeah. Because when that money runs out, then what do you have? And so, there's a lot of people will tell you that, in the crochet world, they'll say, oh, I can't believe that you only charging that. I was like, my goal is not that. Maybe one day, I might have to charge more. But right now, this is what I'm charging. And guess what? I feel good about it. I know you don't, but I do. And so I'm fine and I'm content with that, so that you just have to know your purpose and you have to stick to it no matter what around you looks like. Do you and stick to you.
Do you and stick to you.
That's it. Do you.
On that note, thank you, sister friend. I appreciate you logging in and sharing your gifting with me as well as everybody else. And don't think that I'm not looking over your shoulder at like, how's she gonna put that on the screen? I don't have that. I couldn't focus. It keeps drawing my eye. I keep looking past you.
I'm jealous that I gotta put it in the mail. I was like, maybe if I just leave it, she won't wonder where it is.
She won't be. Yes. Well, now it's on Facebook all over. Shared multiple times.
She gonna send me a text like, send me my tops. I know. So yes, I do have to send this off, but yes, this is one of my favorite tops. But just send me your color. Let me know what color, and I'll get started on it.
Love it.
Yes.
Hugs. Hopefully, I will be in touch soon.
Yes, thank you so much. I am so grateful for this opportunity. I loved it. And big shout out to my husband and my children, because they stayed away. Y'all can come back now.
I know that's right. Love you, sis. Take care.
You too. All right, take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.